Those of you guys who don't know, Steven Crowder is definitely an oddity among conservative content creators. You see, most of these figures, I am fully convinced, are driven entirely by the desire to make money and get themselves ahead above all else, right? Like, these people are grifters through and through. All they care about is money, and they're willing to lie about whatever they have to get to it. Steven Crowder, on the other hand, is a whole different scenario. I actually think Steven Crowder is stupid and as bigoted and racist and believes all the horrible things he says that he believes. I think he's genuinely driven by an internal burning fire of racism and hatred towards other, any minority group, right? No evidence bores this out better than the fact that he turned down a $50 million contract because it would mean he would have to be less racist because he might get banned from YouTube. Like, to turn down $50 million, I know these people are extraordinarily wealthy, but $50 million's $50 million. Like, the guy's very dedicated to his racism. He is not willing to sacrifice on that. He is principled in that respect. And some examples of what he's like on this are pretty much widespread throughout the internet. I mean, here's a Majority Report clip responding to Steven Crowder.
Or ethnic prejudice because of their identity as members of a group, unquote. The U.S. Commission on Civil Rights confirmed as long ago as 1965 the U.S. Department of Agriculture discriminated against black farmers, but little was done to address the problem.
100 years ago?
Yeah, most happy about the new policy, these people. So, yeah. I'm gonna buy a plow, man.
I'm gonna plant that corn.
Go get a John Deere. Barack Obama, mother, I'm the president of plowing that ass. You.
I thought the last thing they would want to do is be farmers. Wasn't that a big problem for hundreds of years?
Yeah.
Isn't that why Arsenio Hall called himself the urban man's Johnny Carson?
Yeah, so, like, Steven Crowder is sort of like uncle on the porch drinking a beer with the Confederate flag, like, hanging right next to him, kind of racist, Like, he's not Ben Shapiro, like, trying to find, like, academic reasons for why, black people are inferior to him, kind of racist, and doing facts don't care about your feelings. He just goes and does, like, blackface on camera, and that's his show, pretty much. Like, yeah. Like, unironically. He really is an oddity among conservatives. At least they're big pundits. But recently he had a big falling out with the Daily Wire, which is run by Ben Shapiro. Now, Ben Shapiro, I brought him up already. I genuinely think Ben Shapiro, he's like the canary in the coal mine of whether or not, like, the right is going to fully implode in itself because of Nazism. The right has to basically maintain a balance of accepting Nazism while distancing itself from Nazism at the same time to maintain cultural control. Those that are susceptible to Nazification must be Nazified and brought onto the right. Those that are not going to be brought that far need to be brought to whatever level of to the right they can be, and the centrists need to be sympathetic to what the right stands for, and everybody else needs to be as antagonistic towards the left as possible. That is basically the internet climate, the climate of things the right needs to maintain for cultural dominance. Ben Shapiro, I honestly don't know if, like, with the things that have been happening with him lately, if the right is really keeping that balance lately. I think they're leaning too far to the Nazi side. I don't know if you guys remember, but Ben Shapiro was harassed by groypers. You see, Ben Shapiro harassed by groypers. Yeah, like, there's even videos. There's even Daily Wire videos. Look at this. White nationalist alt-right trolls try to trap Ben Shapiro, fail miserably, by Daily Wire Plus. It's bigotry. Michael Knowles wrecks alt-right groyper argument on racial demographics. Michael Knowles exposes groyper Nick Fuentes. These are the fascists that run the Daily Wire arguing against neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes fans. Because the neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes fans, the groypers, are too far. So I don't know, guys. I don't know. Anyway, this video, this clip has been going viral. of Steven Crowder on Tim Pool's show, talking about, let's just say he kind of JQs here a little bit. You know, he just did a little bit of a JQ here. Let's just watch.
And people don't believe. There are no investors in Timcast. There's only me as the principal of the entire company, sole owner, sole board member, president, CEO, treasurer, chairman, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's staff. You know, I have a COO. We've got people who work here, but I own literally all of it, control all of it with no outside investment. It's literally.
I don't know if you guys know this, but Tim Pool literally has like a fucking compound. He's streaming from a compound, and the basement alone of the compound is so big. I'm pretty sure this room is in the basement, but the basement itself is so big it contains, I think there's a swimming pool now, but I know for a fact that there is a underground like basement skateboarding like course. He basically has an underground like fucking survival bunker that he can both stream from, survive, like live from, and like basically survive the end of the world from. He is making a level of bank that is inconceivable. For no lefty has as much money as this guy does. No lefty content creator has as much money as this guy is looking at right now with his eyes. The room that he's looking at is worth more than any amount that the room he's looking at is worth more than Hassan's house. This guy's fucking compound is worth more than Hassan's house. This guy had his compound built. Do you know how much it costs to have a fucking compound? Like, you have to buy land and then pay construction workers and a fucking architect to build a fucking compound? That is my dream, to build a compound for me and my lefty friends to live in and make content from. Like a streamer house. That's been my dream forever. And that's like a decade of like everything goes perfectly in the future of achievement, okay? Like, he's bragging here, but he's got the right to brag, okay? He's got the right to brag. He's got a lot to fucking brag about. Like, say what you want, but like, Tim Pool, unironically, is probably more wealthy than Andrew Tate and does not really brag about it or flex on it as much as Andrew Tate does. Say what you want. Most of these grifters tend to be somewhat humble about how much money they're making.
Really just.
They rely on the people that watch them thinking they're just like them, though.
I started making.
And you're not even Jewish.
Yeah, I'm
just saying as a joke to the.
Fuck, hold on. Let me rewind. Let me rewind the clip. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted.
And people don't believe. There are no investors in Timcast. There's only me as the principal of the entire company, sole owner, sole board member, president, CEO, treasurer, chairman, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's staff. You know, I have a COO. We've got people who work here, but I own literally all of it, control all of it with no outside investment. It's literally just. I started making.
And you're not even Jewish.
Yeah,
I'm just saying as a joke to the anti-Semites in there. Like, by the way, we're not talking about. No one who we're talking about is even Jewish. Just to be clear.
That's a point I make all the time. Yeah. There are people who have been successful in media who aren't. I don't know why they have that conspiracy belief. Yeah. But it was shocking for me to find out that.
Did you hear Steven Crowder like inhale, ready to interrupt Tim Pool when he said, "I don't know why they have that conspiracy belief"? Did you hear the inhale?
Yeah. But it was shocking for me to find out that these big alternatives. I don't know why they have that conspiracy belief. Yeah. But it was shocking for I don't know why they have that conspiracy belief. Yeah. But it was.
You can hear the inhale, ready to interrupt. Like, well, hold on, conspiracy.
Shocking for me to find out that these big alternatives only exist because some powerful industrialist or billionaire decided I'm going to spend money, but that money comes with their influence. Now, the only issue I have with that is that we don't know what their influence is.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, it's pretty in line that like Steven Crowder would hear the concept of a businessman like doing well and building a company and like having a lot of money and immediately be like, oh, and you're not even Jewish. Steven Crowder probably thinks there's something... Steven Crowder definitely thinks there's something genetic about Jewish people that makes them more inclined to being good at business. For those that don't know, the socioeconomic reasons behind why the Jewish community tends to be better at investment, wealth, and business building and like business management is because if you go back, depending on how far back you go, there's points where literally only Jewish people were the demographic allowed to do certain things such as banking. And you go even further ahead, and Jewish like communities have had to become very insular. Not insular in the way that they're like against outside people, but in that they're very close. My best example of experiencing this myself, the best example I can pull from, is when I was like 8 years old and I visited New York and I went to Brooklyn. When you go to like the Jewish parts of Brooklyn, you can tell, and it's like, it's tight. That shit is fucking tight. The community's there, right? So there's a lot of community building, a lot of taking care of each other, looking out for each other across families, neighbors, etc. Church groups are very close to each other and help each other out. And there's a very strong emphasis on the fact that Jewish people have been non-stop discriminated against and genocided and enslaved and fucked over throughout history. From the time of like the Bible to like the Holocaust to today, Jews have been discriminated against. And because of that, Jewish people have oftentimes made success, financial and personal success, a paramount virtue to achieve. Being wealthy and successful and living a good life and having money to pass down to your kids and your grandkids and being able to help your community with said funds, these things are considered good and are very much a lot more common in the Jewish community than they are in the Christian community, where a far more common stereotype is like televangelist pastors stealing money from their congregation to pay for private jets. Does that make sense? Because of this, a lot of really evil people, Nazis, have decided to use these good things. Some of them are actually symptoms of bad things, but most of them are good things about the Jewish community to try to twist them into a reason for them to engage in genocide, genocidal, hateful behavior, anti-Semitism towards Jewish people. It is a tale as old as time. You make the minority you're trying to victimize out to be the victimizer, and then you oppress them. And you cry that you're the one being oppressed the entire time you do it. Anyway, I think Steven Crowder is a perfect example of one of those people, and I think that Ben Shapiro is somebody that we really need to keep an eye on, because I don't know how long, like, who knows how long he's going to be able to stand by as the right just sort of allows Nazism to be their bottom line, you know, for much longer. I wonder how long the money will allow him to look past it. Anyway, you guys know what to do if you enjoyed this video. Leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. And yeah, I really do appreciate you watching. Have a good one.